Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to our Kartik month special. We're going to continue. Hare Krishna. We're going to continue with the Damodar Leela. Once Krishna was caught stealing butter in the house of Nanda Maharaj's brother. They were all living in the same place, in the same village. So he was caught red-handed, and the gopi tells Krishna, you know, your mother never believes us when we go and tell her that you're very mischievous, you're very naughty. She thinks you're very innocent and very well behaved. So I needed proof that you were caught stealing butter. And since I've caught you stealing butter, I'm going to take you directly to Mother Yashoda to prove to her that I caught you red-handed. And Krishna looks at the gopi and says, if I were in your shoes, I would not do that. This is not a good thing for you. The outcome will not be very pleasant for you. And she was thinking, oh, he is just 2.5 years old and he's giving me dhamki already. He's threatening me. What is that? If I take him, he's going to punish me. What he's going to do? He's just 2 years old. Like this, the gopi was thinking. So she takes Krishna by hand and walks him all the way to Mother Yashoda's residence. And as she enters the residence, she sees Nanda Maharaj coming across from the other side. Now, of course, it's very embarrassing for her to be there with Krishna. So what she does is she quickly covers Krishna with her pallu, because she doesn't want Nanda Maharaj to know that she's come to complain about his son. So once Nanda Maharaj leaves the house, he then finds Mother Yashoda and says, my dear Yashoda, you never believed me when I said that your son is very mischievous and naughty. I have physically caught him in my own house and I have brought him here so that you have proof that he's not as innocent as you think he is. You know, he puts on a show for you, but we know what his true colors are. He's a thief. Definitely he's a thief. So Mother Yashoda, by now the pallu was out from Krishna's body. And Mother Yashoda is looking at the person that Gopi is holding. And she says, this wife's name is Padmavali. So she says, hey, Padmavali, who have you brought into my house? Just look. And when Padmavali looks, it's her own son. It is not Krishna. So she is very embarrassed. She's thinking, oh, this is what the boy promised. He's very, very naughty. He said it will not turn out good. And look at this. How suddenly I know I was holding Krishna. I was speaking to him. He was threatening me as we were walking to the residence. How is it that he's not here anymore? And this is my son who I've been holding and bringing to Mother Yashoda's house. So she was deeply embarrassed. And she says, oh, I'm so sorry. I think I made a mistake. And Mother Yashoda said, yeah. I know my son's reputation has been spoiled by all you gopis. He's not done anything wrong, but still you insist on spoiling his name by propagating all of these falsehoods that he has stolen butter, he's done this, he's done that. So Padmavali leaves the residence with her son in hand. She's all the way as she's walking home, she's thinking, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? She wasn't sure what happened. She was convinced that she had Krishna in her hand. And when she reaches home, she looks down to see it's not her son anymore, it is Krishna. So Krishna tells her, remember what I told you, that this will not turn out very good for you. Don't ever try to catch me and take me to my mother's house ever again. If you do that, the result will be worse. See, this time it was your son. Next time you catch me, it will be your husband. Like this, Krishna threatened her even more, saying, don't prevent me from coming in and stealing all of this butter and yogurt, and certainly don't take me to Mother Yashoda, because I will defend myself. However, I should defend myself, even if it is through the potency of Mother Yogamaya, then I will certainly do that. So Krishna simply transformed himself to her son's image and embarrassed her. And she was thinking she was walking her son all the way back to her house. It was actually Krishna, because Krishna can do anything. So he changed his looks to that of her son, and he threatened her, you do this once more next time, you catch hold of me and take me all the way to Mother Yashoda, it's going to be your own husband who's going to appear in front of Mother Yashoda. So don't do that. This time, of course, Krishna has stolen in his own house, and the whole pastime of Damodar Leela begins with Mother Yashoda waking up early in the morning on the day of Diwali to prepare some nice items for her Lala. And what does she do? She is singing, her bangles are tinkling, everything is doing kirtan. The churning rod is making a rhythmic sound. The bangles are tinkling. Mother Yashoda is singing about the Lord. Now, if you're constantly chanting the names of the Lord or constantly glorifying him or speaking his pastimes, he's going to come because you're calling for him. So Krishna was half asleep there in bed, and he was thinking, okay, my mother is calling me, let me go. But how come she left me in the bed? She shouldn't have done that. So anyway, he toddles over to his mother, and because his mother had called for him, so he was there physically present in front of her. Yes, you're singing about me. You're singing about my pastimes. I'm very pleased with you, and I'm here. I'm so pleased with you that I'm ready to have your milk. So Krishna stops her from churning the butter and accepts her milk. Now, two sevas are coming in conflict with each other here. Mother Yashoda was singing about Krishna, and the Lord was physically present there with her. No? When we want the Lord in our life, we call out to him. So he's come to give his darshan to Mother Yashoda. At the same time, another seva says, oh, I have to prepare some nice bhoga items for the Lord. Today I will do it personally. No more servants. Maybe because the servants, work is not good enough. Maybe that is why Krishna is going into other homes, breaking and entering and doing all this mischief. So let me do it personally. So one is feeding the Lord. One is making nice preparations for the Lord. Two sevas come in conflict with each other. In a split second, when the milk overflows, Mother Yashoda decides that she will put her son down, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and go check on the milk, because she is very keen to make sure he stops all of this mischievous activities. And as we discussed yesterday, Shripad Harishauri Prabhu says that when the Lord comes personally, you have to give up everything else. All other sevas are subservient to you serving the Supreme Lord personally. Here, Mother Yashoda had an opportunity to serve the Supreme Lord personally by feeding him, but she puts him down. She puts him down, and that upsets the Lord very much. So you should prioritize the right seva at the right time, at the right place. In this case, Mother Yashoda should have prioritized making sure that the Lord's belly was complete and satisfied with her motherly love through the form of her milk. The Lord was not interested in the butter preparations and the yogurt preparations of Mother Yashoda. So the Lord throws a temper tantrum. So he wants to let her know, don't you know how and who you should prioritize? You should prioritize me. You have so many maidservants who could have done this. Why did you put me down? And why did you take on this unnecessary seva of personally going into the kitchen and cooking for me? Then all you have to do is to make sure that I am satisfied and I am pleased. So anyway, the pastime unfolds, and Mother Yashoda is chasing Krishna. The flowers are falling from her head as if to say, Mother Yashoda, you have an opportunity to serve Krishna. Give us also an opportunity. So the flowers fall down from her hair onto the Vrajabhumi where the Lord has put his lotus footprints. So everyone and everything in Vrajabhumi are eager to serve the Supreme Lord. That is the mood of the Vrajavasis. They love the Lord more than anything else. Yes, they may complain and say he has stolen, but they like his stealing pastimes. What is he stealing after all? He's not stealing your butter. Everything belongs to him, except you have decided to separate yourself from him. So he's coming to steal you. So yes, one by one, I was listening to a lecture on Damodar Leela by His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, and also by His Holiness Keshav Swami Maharaj. And Maharaj was saying in that particular lecture that the Lord will steal one thing at a time from you, and then the stealing will escalate. Yeah. So what does he steal? First, he steals what you say. How do we greet each other? He steals our speech. Our speech itself changes. We say Hare Krishna. We say Dandavat Pranam. These are words that we would not have used before coming to Krishna consciousness. So slowly the Lord steals your speech by getting you to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by changing the way in which you speak to the Vaishnavas. Then he steals your forehead. Now you're putting tilak. Earlier you were not putting tilak. Then he steals, your taste buds. Now you're only having prashadam. You don't want to have anything else. Like this, then he steals your outfit. Whatever outfit you were wearing before, now you've changed it to Vaishnava outfit when you come to the temple. So one at a time, the Lord is stealing you slowly without you even being aware of it. You're slowly changing and becoming his bhakta. Earlier, you may be watching TV and other things. Now you're hearing Harikatha. He's stealing your ears. Now you're anxious to come for class in the morning. He's stealing your ears. You're anxious to take darshan. He's stealing your eyes. So slowly, Maharaj was explaining, one by one, the Lord is taking away all of your anarthas and replacing it with those activities that are conducive for you to make progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. So slowly, the Lord is stealing your body, your mind, and your words, until you finally surrender to him, and then he picks you up and takes you back. So it is this Supreme Personality of Godhead who is famous for stealing you, has stolen butter and gotten into trouble with his own mother Yashoda, and she has bound him with the ropes of love around his belly, and hence the Lord gets the name Damodara. So Mother Yashoda has tied him up. He's tried to get unbound by the other Gopa boys. Later on, Balaram comes back. He tries to untie. He's not able to untie. He gets into an argument with Mother Yashoda. First he asks, do you know who Krishna is? And she says, yes, I know exactly who he is. He's that little rascal who stole this morning and created a mess in my house. Then he asks, do you know who I am? And she says, yeah. So you also are an avatar, just like Krishna. So Mother Yashoda gets very annoyed because she's been interrupted again from finishing her household duties and from finishing making all of the wonderful bhoga items for the Lord. So now the Lord is alone by himself, crawling in the courtyard. And as Mother Yashoda is busy, the Lord observes twin trees. So these trees are conjoined at the base, and they're like a V format, right? Two trees like this. The Yamala Arjuna trees, they are called. So in a previous millennium, They had been demigods of Kuvera. Kuvera is the treasurer for the demigods. So he's a very wealthy, very opulent person. So these two personalities, the sons of Kuvera, who are known as Nalakuvara and Manigriva, they were very wealthy, but they were also very, very proud. They were proud of their lineage, they were proud of their wealth, and they were most definitely proud that they had association of Lord Shiva in Kailash. And they were in his dham. That is what they were really proud of. And one day, as they are taking a bath in the river in Kailash Dham, they are naked and they have many girls with them in the water, enjoying themselves. And out of nowhere, Narada Muni appears. When the young girls see Narada Muni, they immediately cover themselves up and mentally offer their obeisances. But since Nalakuvara and Manigriva are completely drunk, they're drunk on their false sense of ego, they're drunk with pride, they completely lose themselves. And when Narada Muni passes by, they don't greet him and they continue to remain naked. So great personalities, it may appear that they are cursing you, but actually it is a great benediction. So Narada Muni immediately curses them for a lack of etiquette. So what is the curse? Parikshit Maharaj asks, what happened? Why did they become these trees? Well, that's because Narada Muni cursed them to become the trees. Trees are naked. They are considered to be naked. And since Nalakuvara and Manigriva seem to enjoy being naked, they were cursed to become trees. But were they cursed or was it a benediction? It was actually a benediction. A great sage never curses you. Ultimately, everything is arranged in such a way that it ends up being a benediction. So the minute Narada Muni curses them this way, they immediately come to their senses and they beg for his forgiveness for not displaying proper etiquette. So here in the Mandakini river, they were cursed like this. And they came to occupy the land in Rajabhumi in Nanda Maharaj's courtyard. And Narada Muni said, I'm pleased with your begging for forgiveness. Please don't worry. One day, the Lord will come and release you from this curse. So the trees have been standing there for a millennium, waiting for Krishna. There is a nice poem written by Milton. They also serve who only stand and wait. I remember studying this poem in college. It's a beautiful poem. Actually, if you read that poem, there is deep spirituality in that poem. Milton goes almost blind. He's a young poet. He's written many, many great literature. And this is called a sonnet. You can check it out. They also serve who only stand and wait. If you read the lines of this sonnet, there are probably 7 or 8 lines. It beautifully depicts his faith in the Supreme Lord. He's asking that Lord in that sonnet, if I'm supposed to serve you through my talent, now you've taken away my eyesight. So then I have to be patient and somehow figure out how to serve you. So patience is one of the jewels in a devotee's armory. So here, the trees had to be patient. For thousands of years, they were standing there until the Lord came. And therefore, the Lord is crawling in the courtyard and he notices these trees. And he remembers that his devotee had given them this curse/benediction saying that I am supposed to release these 2 trees. So the Lord also ensures that his devotee's words always come true. So if a devotee blesses you, it'll come true. That is why we say we should always beg for the blessings of devotees, and we should beg for the blessings of the Vaishnavas and their prayers as well. So Krishna had nothing to do with the Nalakuvara and Manikriva. There was no association between them. All he was thinking was, Narada Muni said, I will come and do this, so I have to do it now. My devotee has instructed me. I have to follow his instructions. Because my devotee is so great. They are greater than me. They have so much love for me. So hence, the Lord begins to crawl towards the 2 trees. And the trees are joined at the base. And as Krishna is crawling, on the floor, the mortar has turned sideways like this. And it doesn't fit through the gap between the 2 trees. So the Lord has gone between the 2 trees and, all of a sudden he's pulling with all his might. He's just 2.5 years old, the Lord. So he's pulling this wooden mortar in between the 2 trees because he knows he has to release them. These rascals who had done an abominable act, that too in a holy place like Kailash. In a holy river like Mandakini, they were drunk and enjoying themselves without any shame. They were so proud about nothing. They were proud about temporary things, right? So anyway, the Lord pushes the mortar behind him, pulls with all his might, and suddenly the 2 trees just collapse on either side of the courtyard. And Krishna is witnessing something amazing happening. So from the 2 trees come these 2 Jivatmas that had been given the body of a tree. They had to wait patiently until Krishna came. So they were very, very fortunate. They recognized that what they had done was terribly wrong, but somehow or the other, Narada Muni gave them the benediction of being released by Lord Krishna. Even though they are released by Lord Krishna from this apparent curse, they actually don't go to the spiritual world. They go back to their original positions as sons of Kubera and continue with their seva there. So the proper punishment was received. They were standing and waiting for a long time. So the Supreme Lord had to fulfill the words of his greatest devotee, Narada Muni. And he's thinking to himself, these boys are not very good boys. I have nothing to do with them. But because my devotee had given them this benediction, this curse, so I must deliver them because my devotee has promised that I would deliver them. So the trees fall apart and the personalities come out and they begin to worship the Lord and glorify the Lord. They tell the Lord, my dear Lord, you are the Supreme Lord. You are the original. You are the cause of all causes. You are beyond this material creation. Even the great Brahmanas who are studying the Vedas, they don't understand you. Everything is there within you. You control everything. You are the supreme controller. You are the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. You are time itself, they tell the Supreme Lord. You existed before creation, and who can understand you? So you are so glorious that great devotees are singing your praises What to say of great devotees? Even Shankarshan is singing your praises. You are the origin of the Chaturvyuha. You are Vasudeva, the son of Devaki and Vasudev. We offer our humble obeisances to you, our respectful obeisances to you. Please forgive us for the offenses that we have committed. My dear Lord, with this we seek your permission to return to our duty. So they offer this short glorification of the Lord, and then they leave for their respective places. So Shukadev Goswami concludes by saying, this divine form of Krishna, he's the master of Gokul, so he's called Gokuleshwara. Such a great supreme personality of Godhead was bound by the ropes of the gopis. So it was not just Mother Yashoda, but other gopis also helped Mother Yashoda bind Damodar. And the Lord speaks to the two personalities, telling them, that's all right, whatever you've done, has done, you can go back. And now the pastimes continue. So they circumambulate the Supreme Lord and they leave for their residences. So like this, when you hear about this Damodar Leela pastime, who is more famous? Is the Lord more famous or is the devotee more famous? After all, the mother's name is Yashoda. Yash means fame. So by being the son of Yashoda, Krishna becomes famous. But in this particular pastime, it is actually Mother Yashoda who is being glorified by Shukadev Goswami. It is not the Lord who is being glorified. It is Mother Yashoda, the fact that she was determined to bind the Lord. What is the significance of the fact that the rope is always 2 finger length short? Acharyas say one is our own endeavor and determination to reach the Supreme Lord, to love the Supreme Lord, to serve the Supreme Lord. So 1 finger symbolizes our endeavor, our determination to serve the Lord. The 2nd finger symbolizes that the Lord has to accept your service and therefore he has to reciprocate. And he reciprocates through his mercy. And when the Lord reciprocated through his mercy, only then was Mother Yashoda able to bind him. So the Lord is saying, if you want to come back to me, you have to be ready to put in that level of austerity. Mother Yashoda was an elderly woman. So just churning the butter for Krishna was not easy for her. She was tired. At the same time, she was exhilarated. So sometimes when we do seva, we feel both things together. We are tired and yet we are exhilarated that we had an opportunity to do the seva. Right? So Mother Yashoda was determined to make nice foodstuffs for the Lord. So it may have appeared that the Lord was displeased with her, but the Lord was very pleased with her. Because the more he was naughty, the more she became angry with him. And the Lord enjoyed the mother's anger and chastisement. The Lord wanted that. The Lord wanted to be chastised by Mother Yashoda. The Lord wanted to experience the anger of Mother Yashoda. Up until now, when there were complaints coming in, she never chastised him. She never got angry. She always came to his defense. And the Lord thought, okay, what else do I have to do to make her angry? So maybe I have to play out something in my own residence so that she does get angry. But ultimately, you cannot bind the Lord with love unless the Lord consents. So how much ever love Mother Yashoda had for Nandalal, ultimately the Lord had to give her permission to bind him. And therefore she binds him with her love. Then the relationship is complete between parent and the child. So after felling this Yamala Arjuna trees, some more pastimes take place that are described in the 11th chapter of Canto 10. So when the trees fall down, Nanda Maharaj has come back. And when the trees fall down, it makes a big crashing sound. So everybody goes rushing to see what had happened. And of course, everyone was concerned that something would have happened to Krishna. So Nanda Maharaj asks the boys, what happened? What happened? Did you see what happened? And the boys said, actually, Krishna did it. Krishna brought both the trees down. When he was in between the two trees, Krishna simply dragged the mortar behind him and the two trees just collapsed on the side. And then we saw two beautiful men come out of the trees. We've never seen an amazing sight like this. We don't know who they were, but they looked beautiful. And the cowherd boys and women thought, oh, the boys are making up stories again. So somehow or the other, Nanda Maharaj is so pleased. He couldn't believe that his son had been saved, that not a twig fell on his son. The trees were uprooted in such a wonderful way that nothing happened to Krishna and nothing happened to all of the other young children that were playing in the courtyard with Krishna. So Nanda Maharaj was thinking, yes, Garga Muni said, this little boy is as good as Narayana. Maybe this little boy actually did fell those two trees. So now Nanda Maharaj is wondering why his son has been tied up. This is the first time he's witnessing that his son has been tied up to a wooden mortar. Who did this? Krishna immediately starts crying, saying, see, I didn't do anything, but Yashoda, Mother Yashoda punished me like this. Nanda Maharaj untied the knots. The knots of love that are tied by Vatsalya Ras cannot be untied by any other rasa. So Mother Yashoda tied him up, and Nanda Maharaj unties him. So this rope of love that was wrapping around Krishna was unbound by the father, Nanda Maharaj. So Nanda Maharaj is thinking, and the gopis are thinking, this little boy who would dance for us, who would sing for us, just for a cup of buttermilk or for some butter, he was so eager. So the gopis would say, if Krishna would come to their house, the gopis would say, oh, we know why you've come. You want butter, don't you want butter? And the gopis would say, well, if you want butter, you have to dance for us. So this Supreme Lord who was dancing and singing for the pleasure of the gopis, just so he could get some butter from them, or some buttermilk, or some yogurt, this Supreme Personality of Godhead was always smiling and dancing and bringing so much pleasure to the gopis. And Shukadev Goswami explains to Parikshit Maharaj, it is like as if the Lord was a little toy for all the Vrajavasis. They could ask the Lord to do anything and he would do it. And it is not that the Lord wanted their butter or their yogurt or their whatever. The Lord wanted to experience their love and affection for him. So sometimes the Lord would sing very loudly because the gopis would say, sing loud, sing loud. Slowly like this, Shukadev Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj how the Lord came under the complete control of the gopis in Vrindavan. not just under the control of Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj, but under the complete control of the gopis. So sometimes Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends would tell Krishna, you go bring that, go pick that up and bring it here. So they would give sevas to Krishna. Go pick up that wooden plank, go bring that mat, go bring that pot. And Krishna would very obediently do that. So he was being ordered by the gopis, and he was very obedient in that way. Sometimes if the item was too heavy, the Lord will just stand in front of it and touch them and wait for the gopis to respond and encourage them to say, no, you can do it, you can do it, you can lift it. Try a little harder, you can do it. So like this, just to attract their attention back to him, the Lord will show off his physical strength by lifting something that was more heavy than him. So the pure devotees can understand the pastimes of the Lord. They can understand how the Lord becomes conquered by his devotees. In this way, the Lord was bringing a great deal of pleasure to the Brajavasis. Once a lady came to sell fruits, and she was announcing, I'm here, if anybody wants to purchase some fruits, come here, I have some beautiful fruits. And Krishna, immediately upon hearing this, thinks, I know exactly how Mother Yashoda does this. She takes something from the house, she gives it to the vendor gives her something in return. So Krishna was thinking, fruit sounds like a very good idea. So he immediately goes to the storeroom to get some grains. So he uses his little chubby little palms because he so wants the fruits from that lady. He takes some rice grains and hurriedly he's going out, because in case the fruit vendor leaves, by the time he goes out, all of the grains had slipped away from the palms of his hands onto the floor, and he had just 1 or 2 grains left in his palms. But when the fruit vendor sees him, she is so attracted by his beauty that even though the Lord does not give sufficiently to her, just gives her 2 grains instead of a palmful of grains, the fruit vendor is so mesmerized by his beauty, she gives her entire basket of fruits to Krishna, and she fills up his hands as much as he can hold. She fills up his little hands with fruits. And Krishna was very pleased with himself, very happy that he's done what his mother used to do. Bartering system, it is called. You exchange goods with each other. So, and the fruit vendor is looking at her basket and is amazed that it is filled with jewels and gold. And she comes back a second time because she wants to take darshan of the Lord again. She throws away the jewels and golds in the forest and goes out to pick some more berries and fruits for the Lord, because she's so mesmerized by the beauty of the Lord. So after the felling of these trees, once Rohini Devi was calling both Balaram and Krishna to come home for lunch. They had been playing outside for a long time. They finished their pasturing of the calves, but none of them paid attention to her. They were so engrossed in their games with each other, they disregarded Mother Rohini's calls to please come, you have to take a bath. It's lunchtime. So Rohini goes back into the house and asks Mother Yashoda, I think it's better if you call them. They will listen to you. So Mother Yashoda steps out of the house and she calls out to Krishna and Balaram, saying, please come back for lunch. She said, you are all such good boys. Your father is waiting for you. We have to give you a bath. You must be so tired. You must be so hungry. After grazing the calves, there's no need to play anymore. Please come home. And then she also speaks to Baladeva. She says, you're the best of the family. You're the most obedient one. Come immediately. Bring your brother with you. You ate only in the morning, no? So many hours have gone by. So a mother's fundamental worry for the child is always under eating. So here the mother is saying, it has been so long since you ate in the morning. It is already afternoon. Come to eat. Come to have some bhojan. Nanda Maharaj is waiting. So like this, she begs and pleads with Balaram and Krishna to come back, and they go back. She's also telling the other boys, you also go home. Your mothers are waiting for you. They'll be so worried because you've not gone home. So like this, Mother Yashoda bathes both Balaram and Krishna, who were covered with Vrajraj, with so much dust and sand they were covered with. So every time Krishna and Balaram would go out for grazing the calves, Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini will dress them up with jewelry, even though they were just going to graze the calves. And as soon as they got into the forest, what would the boys do? They would take out all the jewelry and dump it in one place. They wanted to decorate the Lord. So they will take all of these minerals and paint the Lord's cheeks and paints the Lord's forehead. They will make some nice flower garlands and put those flower garlands around the Lord. So these were the pastimes of the Gopa boys with the Lord. They didn't like the decoration of Mother Yashoda and Rohini. They wanted to decorate the Supreme Lord. So they had an opportunity to offer service to the Lord. So like this, Mother Yashoda is bathing both the children, and she brings them to Nanda Maharaj, and they are having nice prasadam. So one time what happened is the boys were grazing their calves, and a demon enters their midst. In the meantime, so many different disturbances are coming. Nanda Maharaj's older brother Upananda calls for a meeting, and he tells all the Vrajavasis, I don't think Gokul is very safe for us. The number of demons that have come to attack Krishna, it doesn't feel comfortable anymore. So he says, my preference is that we can go to another place called Vrindavan. So currently they are staying in the forest called Mahavan, where Gokul is. So he encourages them, we should all pack up our bags and move to that place because Govardhan is close by. There's a lot of greenery. There is sufficient food for the cows and the calves. And the river Yamuna is running close by. So we can have a better opportunity to live our lives peacefully there in Vrindavan. So he says that so many, Upananda is telling the cowherd men, so many disturbances are happening. And it is happening because Kamsa is sending the demons to kill Balaram and Krishna. Now, somehow or the other, our Krishna has been protected so far by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And Upananda recites all of the pastimes very quickly, how Putana came, then Shakatashur came, then Trinavarta came. So somehow or the other, even the trees, they didn't fall on Krishna. So why don't we all leave this place and go to a place called Vrindavan? And it is suitable. It has got a lot of lush growth. So let us go immediately there today. And all of the cowherd men agree to this proposal. And what do? They pack up everything. Imagine just packing up and moving en masse as a community, as a society. But that's what happened. The whole village packed up everything. And very nicely, they placed Krishna and Balaram on one of the carts. And singing pastimes of Lord Krishna and Balaram, they made their way to Vrindavan. So they created a temporary shelter for the night that they reached. And then later on, they built permanent residences there. So like this, the boys were growing up very soon. They were taking care of the calves. And one day when they go to graze the calves, one more demon comes called Vatsasura. Krishna immediately recognizes that this demon has come in the form of a calf to disturb them. So this calf has entered the group of other calves that were grazing nearby. So Krishna and Balaram were playing their flutes, but they knew that this calf was actually a demon. So Krishna picks up the calf by the legs, whirls it around and tosses it out. And the demon comes out and faces death. And like this, the killing of demons continued, even though they had packed up and moved to Vrindavan. Krishna was not, free from the demons that were being sent by Kamsa, one by one. So still many more pastimes are there. The boys are enjoying themselves, playing on the banks of the river Yamuna. And here comes another demon, Vatsasur. And Krishna does very quick work of this Vatsasur. And upon seeing the dead body of this Vatsasur, all the Gopa boys praise Krishna. Good job, Krishna. You did really, really well. You really protected us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the little boys are thanking the Lord for killing that demon. So they finish their morning duties. They were wandering here and there. And the Lord, who is maintaining the entire creation, is happily having pastimes with the Gopa boys. So one day the boys were very, very thirsty, and Krishna and Balaram lead them to a reservoir of water. And the Lord was watching as all of the Gopa boys were satisfying their thirst. After they drank, first actually the animals drink the water, and then the Gopa boys drink the water. They saw a huge mountain peak by that reservoir of water. A gigantic body resembling that of a mountain. And it had big beaks. So this is Bhakasura. So Vatsasura had been killed. On that same day, one more demon comes in the form of Bhakasura. But it was a giant bird. It had assumed the body of a duck, but with very sharp beaks. So the beaks were wide open, like as if, the cave in a mountain. And immediately Krishna walks into the beak and into the stomach and the mouth of this Bakasura. So Balaram and the other boys see that Krishna has been swallowed by Bakasura because Bakasura has closed his beaks now. So everybody faints and becomes unconscious, including Balaram. Krishna, what he does is that he increases the heat. So this Bakasura feels this fire in his throat, because that's where the Lord is, inside his mouth and his throat. So when Bakasura feels this intense heat and fire at his throat, immediately he vomits out Krishna. So when he sees Krishna, even though he had swallowed him, Krishna was unharmed. He immediately begins to attack Krishna with his sharp beak. Remember, everybody else was unconscious, including Balaram. So when the Lord sees that Bakasura is attacking him, he just uses his arms to capture the demon by the two beaks, the top and the bottom. And he just rips him in half. And Shukadev Goswami uses the analogy of a child taking a blade of grass and splitting it into half. That is how easily the Lord just split up Bakasura in half. And that was the end of Bakasura. So Vatsasura came, he was killed. Bakasura came, he was killed. So the demigods, witnessing these pastimes of the Lord of killing Vatsasura and Bakasura, they are all glorifying the Lord from their heavenly planets. They are showering the Lord with flowers, saying, Jai, Jai, like that. So slowly, Krishna wakes up all the boys and Balaram and restores their life back to them. They embraced Krishna out of great deal of joy. They collect all of their calves and return back home. And when they return home, the cowherd, the Gopa boys, relay all the pastimes. Every day, whatever pastimes Krishna performed along with them, first thing they will go is hot news of the press is received by their parents. So they told their parents about Vatsasura and Bakasura. And immediately the parents would feel so relieved that somehow or the other, the Lord is not only protecting Krishna, but the Lord is also protecting their own children from certain death. And they were just so relieved that all the boys were safe in spite of these demons coming to attack them. And Nanda Maharaj thinks so many obstacles we are facing, just like Vasudeva has said. So many disturbances are following us. But somehow or the other, the asuras are getting killed and my son is being protected. So this way, many pastimes are taking place and a lot of hide and seek games are going on. Make-believe plays are going on where the boys would take on different roles of monkeys and peacocks and they would act out great plays. And in this way, the Lord was giving transcendental bliss to all of his cowherd friends, to the Gopa boys. He was giving transcendental bliss to the gopis and to the cowherd men and the cowherd women. So Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.